It's hot in here. All right, I'm a little bit crooked. Well, it is officially, I think it's Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. And I'm just checking in. As you can see, I haven't been showing you the horse trailer. I'm going to explain why in just a moment. I would take a deep breath, but I haven't been able to get the insulation covered. That is a whole separate story. It is about 3,550 degrees in here, and so I'm going to pretend to not breathe. You take a deep breath, and I will see you on the other side. Then cheer, cheer the green mountain air. So this is my handy dandy gun checker. Thank you, Dennis. How hot is it in here? So it's 95 on the insulation. It's about 106 separate from the insulation. Let's see how much the camera is. Can you see that? The camera is 83 degrees Fahrenheit. How much am I? I'm like 93 on the skin. Either way, it's warm in here. Okay, so that was our fun break. I've been, trying to get work done when I can get done work. It's so hot in here because I can't open the doors right now because it's too windy, and the insulation's falling down just from the heat. The wind makes it falling down. So I've spent the last few hours and few days first putting it up and then trying to figure out how to get the ceiling done. But that isn't why I am checking in with you today. And we're just in the middle of a lot, and I have, been struggling with, it's time to make a video, what should I make a video about, and why haven't I showed you me working on my horse trailer? And, this isn't the experience I wanted it to be. I am under a lot of pressure to get done and now to get out of here. My deadline has come due, and, I've just got a lot of limitations. One is a steel trailer is a whole different ball of wax. So everything I've tried to get the panels up hasn't worked. I've got a new process. I'll let you know if it works. I'm waiting for it to dry as we speak. So it's just been a really frustrating experience. The wind makes it more complicated, and what's going on in the world makes it more complicated. And one of the things I've been thinking about is why do almost 50% more people click on my negative titles than my positive titles. And I used to think, well, that was just because most people want to tune in because they like it when you talk about yourself and something bad is happening. So occasionally I do put up those kind of titles just to try to up my views a little bit. But, I'm wondering right now if people are just in a sadder state. Most of the statistics coming out, especially for women seem to be suffering a lot more than men with this process. Our age group seems to be doing pretty well, those of you that are over 50, but except for those of you who are a lot older 50 and, might be afraid of getting sick. So we're just in a really tough time. And the frivolous stuff I can't pay attention to. I don't know about you guys. I don't even want to pay attention to stuff that's even things I'm interested in, and I'm tired of listening to, the news and crisis, 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 and now that crisis is manifesting into anger, and, there's just a lot of uncertainty. My plans have all gone out the window, so I've got that same uncertainty about where to go, how I'm going to get there, if travel bans come in. There's just so much uncertainty, and so, one of the things that I've come to believe, I don't know if this is some place that you guys will ever get to, but, I really always wanted to be helpful to those people who are willing to do the work. That's why you hear me say, make the decision, do the work. And my strain has been that there's nothing fun about doing the work because it's hard and it's uncomfortable. And so there's no incentive, and all marketing, right, is to tell you how to fix a problem, and the essence of my message is we're not in the world to fix a problem, we're in the world to be the person who can fix the problem. And I think what's really coming to a head right now is people are finally waking up, whether you want to or not, that it's not as simple as fixing the problem, because the problem is always a simple solution. And if it was as simple as logic and common sense to solve problems, humans are fantastic. We can solve any problem that comes our way. We are manifest creators, right? We can do anything we want. But the main purpose of the world, and this is a really deep dive into the spiritual stuff, so most people don't want to ever hear this, is it is to break our human will, because the world is insane. And we're starting to see more and more insanity just manifest. And so there's a grieving process around the fact that the world is insane. Common sense would lift it out in a heartbeat, and that's not happening. And why isn't that happening? And to step back and say, you know, the purpose of the world is to break you, isn't something that most of us want to talk about. And I don't talk about it because that's like the worst marketing point ever, right? You cannot have, we didn't come into the world to have a perfect, safe, comfortable life. But we're getting to a point now where, you know, either we need to look at this in a real way, or we're just going to die. We're going to suffer, suffer, suffer. And you know, suffering is one of those things. That's why I get into trouble with people around here, because the headbutt is the treatment of the animals, and the people coming in don't treat their animals very well, and that's why we don't get along. And suffering has always been the thing, right? If the purpose of the world isn't to suffer, like a lot of Eastern, I don't believe that. I believe the purpose of the world is to get us to the breaking point that we're willing to say there's got to be something else. And that doesn't mean that you have a la-la, I call it la-la spirituality, where you just manifest this perfect reality and everybody's peace and love and life is perfect. Because if that's who we were in this world, we wouldn't need to be here. And so when I was thinking about, you know, why people are gravitating towards the negative in the titles, is that you can't go from feeling really crappy. It's like when you're having a really bad day and someone says, you should just cheer up, or you've lost somebody that you've loved, and they say, well, you should just get over it. You can't jump emotionally that fast. You have to progress. And most of us are, you know, kind of drowning in the heaviness of what's happening. And what time is it? And I wanted to give you an example of yesterday and breaking points, right? So I've been really frustrated because nothing's going right in my life with this trailer. Every time I do something, it falls down. So I had all these first attempts with the insulation. It all kept falling on my head. But yesterday I found some stuff. Whoops, we're out of focus. Just sort of this Loctite, which is great to temporarily hold it up, but obviously the heat is making it. But it was like my first win, although I'm like, you know, probably going to die from all the fumes, even though I was wearing a face mask. But in the morning, it was like it was my first win, and I felt so happy, and I was so tired because I'd spent most of the day with my hands over my head. And then I got the news that, you know, I'm on deadline. Hurry up. And then I went to town and I got good news. And, you know, Brian said it was okay to say thank you. You know, Brian is somebody who's been with me a while, has listening to me yammer on for a while. And he got a really positive experience with a family member from some of the stuff that I talk about. And he sent me a thank you in the mail. And that just made me really happy. And then I went to the grocery store and I was talking to one of the gals. And there's a dog that's been running around loose, tearing things up, and they rescued the dog. They fed it, and it's calmed down, and it's staying with them. So an abandoned dog found a new home, and that made me really happy. And you know, over the course of the day, it's like, here's a win, here's a loss, here's a win, here's a loss. And that's what the world is. It's not about controlling every breaking point so that you don't ever feel bad. We're supposed to feel bad and figure out how to work through that. And that's always the place I want it to be for you guys, is to move you off the crummy headlines into an energy that was uplifting. So I don't know if I just need to put crummy stuff in the headlines. I don't know if I should just be talking about more serious things right now. I do know I need to get out of here soon, because between the heat and the toxic smells, I keep thinking I'm getting sick because my lungs have been dying with the exposure to all this stuff. And, so I'm not sure what these next steps involve, but I just wanted to bring up this idea that part of growing up isn't waking up to some kind of evil cabal that's out to get us. It's understanding the real purpose of the world is to break us, to make us want something more, something different, because the world isn't meant to be perfect. We're not meant to be perfect in the world. And until we're ready to let all that go and do the work, you will be stuck in the hell of the world, and you will suffer. And it's a really, really hard thing to do. And everything I've tried to do here on the membership site is to not say this directly, but is to give you the skills and the tools. And that's what being human is all about. You have everything in your body to beat the virus. You have everything in your body physiologically designed to move through the emotional process. We have everything we need in this world. We have each other. We have everything, because people by nature are mostly so good. We have everything we need to move through this, but it's almost impossible to move through until you can accept that the purpose of the world is to break you. The question is, will you dust yourself off and get up and understand you're going to get knocked down again? And that is not failure. That is what we are here for. I'm going to demonstrate that. So I started with these styrofoam ones. I put them up, and then they kept falling on my head. That is what life is like. We see it as a problem to solve. Put the damn insulation up so it will stick and all my problems will be okay. I have failed if my insulation doesn't stick. And none of that is true. We are not in this world to solve the problem. We are in this world to be able to move through the problem and to not get stuck laying on the ground, to rise up and just keep moving forward. And that is just not something that most people want to hear. And I don't want it. It's so hot. So I'm just checking in. That's my message for today. We're making slow but steady progress. I have one leak I haven't fixed on the outside, but other than that, hopefully in the morning when it's cooler, I can come back out here and re-glue the insulation and hopefully get this stuff back up, because can you tell the sound difference though? It's not that echoey sound, big difference. And so I'm just going to say thank you for those of you that are hanging out. Thank you to those of you. There's a few people who have just stepped in and been supportive. Obviously this whole crisis thing has crashed my whole life. But I'm going to keep getting up. No matter how many times there's bad news, there's always a lovely surprise eventually in the mail. There's always somebody who rescues a dog and does a good thing. There's always good. It's not about fixing every problem. It's about getting up and keep moving forward, which is why I have so many road references. So with that, my friends, you will find lots and lots of links. Just as an FYI, I'm dropping the price of the membership to $40. I'm really looking at ending it in August, and that includes everything I've got on there. It includes the books, all the podcasts, all the content. A lot of it's downloadable. Just for those of you who still want to do as much as you can do to get ready. When I say stay human, those are just the skills and the tools to survive as we move through this incredibly painful process that is meant to break us. That is what its purpose is, but that doesn't mean we're supposed to stay broken. We're supposed to be able to move through pain, move through suffering, and manage uncertainty. And that is true mastery of self. So with that, my friends, I will see you next time.